Hello there, and welcome to another video looking at the crazy world of flat earth belief and attempts to show that it's complete nonsense. And in this video, what I want to do is bring together some things I've looked at in other videos and show that when you put it together, it constitutes a proof that the earth both cannot be flat and also that the earth is a spheroid. I don't want to be making much more on this. I don't really want involved in this mad online debate that's going on about it. I don't particularly want to talk to flat earth proponents. I think it's a complete waste of time. But the people that have watched my videos, they might find it interesting to have a look at what I've thought about here, because I kept playing this thing over in my head about the equinox and the equator, and I had a feeling that there was more to be brought out from it, and it kind of finally clicked with me that if I put these facts together in a certain way, then it does constitute a proof that the earth is a sphere. And I want to have a look at that with you just now. So on here, what I've got drawn is, up here is a model of a drawing of the earth as a sphere. So this is the equator, Arctic, Antarctic, and a line going from north to south, from the North Pole to the South Pole. Down here you've got a flat earth, the wall of ice around the outside, the Arctic in the middle, and the equator here. And both of them are half lit. Now this is supposed to be on an equinox. So on an equinox, the sun is directly above the equator, and at any one time half the earth is illuminated by the sun anyway, which, as I've looked at in another video, doesn't really quite work on the flat earth model, but we'll just go with that just now. So if we think about a line here on the spherical earth from north to south, any line that's drawn right angles to this going across here will be an east-west line, like this. Okay. So anywhere on this north-south line, we can draw an east-west line. East, 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 west, west, west. All these lines here, all these east-west lines are all going to be parallel to each other, because they're all following this north-south line. Now, this is a sphere, so this line's meant to sort of carve out and then go back in again, but I've drawn it on a flat piece of paper. Now, not all east-west lines would be parallel. I mean, for instance, if I drew another line from north to south, say from here to here, and drew the east-west lines on it, they wouldn't be parallel to these ones. But all of the east-west lines that are on the same line of longitude, going from north to south, are all going to be parallel to each other. So that's the first important thing to realise. And this will also be true on this, this flat earth model here. Now, I did get some strange comments from people about this concerning the way that I drew east-west lines on the flat earth model, but how else are you supposed to draw them? I mean, they're going to be lines that are at right angles to the line that runs from north to south. What they were complaining was that if you go east on a flat earth, you're supposed to follow a circle around here. Well, it just means that the east-west line is a tangent to what are supposed to be lines of latitude on the flat earth. But that's also true on the spherical earth. The east-west lines are actually tangents to the lines of latitude, apart from the equator. So that's the first thing to appreciate, is that all these east-west lines are going to be parallel to each other. In another video, I looked at this thing about the equinox, which is that on the equinox, the sun rises east and sets west everywhere on Earth. So if we're on if we're looking at the spherical Earth, then everyone that's on this line from north to south is going to start seeing the sun at this line here, because this is the line going from the dark to the light. So this line is about 6 o'clock in the morning. If you're on this line, you're going to be at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everyone on this line sees the sun rising east on the horizon at the same time. So if everybody pointed at the sun that saw it on this line, then all their arms would be parallel. Because the sun is in the same direction all the way along this line. Now this is also going to be shown as flat Earth as well. If it was a flat Earth and everybody was on this line going from north to south at 6 o'clock in the morning, at the time when they're going from the dark to the light, if they all point at the sun, they should all be pointing due east, so that all their arms should be parallel. Now the upshot of this is that the sun must be a distant object. The only way that you could have some people distributed along a line and that they could all point at the same object and all their arms are parallel, or well, virtually parallel, almost parallel, is if the object is in the distance, so that the length of the line along which they're distributed must be very small compared to the distance to the object. So therefore, on this spherical Earth model, if everyone distributed along this north-south line, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're all seeing the sun in exactly the same direction, that means that the diameter of the Earth must be very small compared to the distance to the sun. So this fact proves that all the light from the sun is parallel, or is nearly parallel, which proves that the sun is a distant object. It's the same here. That would be the same on this flat Earth model as well. But if you look at it on the flat Earth model, it brings up a lot of problems, because it means that the sun's in this direction, far away. It must be down low, so it's almost in the same plane that the flat Earth is lying in. But it means it's miles away from the flat Earth. And it can't possibly be directly overhead on the equator. I mean, if it's somewhere over here, in this direction here, it can't be here as well. So that's a bit of a disaster there already. So that's the first sort of empirical information, which is that on the equinox at 6 o'clock in the morning, when people start to see the sun, they all see it in the exact same direction. So it means the sun's a distant object. Now, at the same time that they're starting to see the sun along this line here, whether on the flat Earth or the spherical Earth, people at midday are also seeing the sun in the sky. But distributed north to south, they're not all seeing the sun in the same position in the sky. So if we consider this, say, from the spherical Earth, well, first of all, the empirical information is, and this is just facts about the world, you can check it. I'll provide a link to a website you can check this stuff out on. At midday on an equinox, if you're on the equator, the sun is directly overhead. If you're in the northern hemisphere, the sun is at an angle in the sky in a southerly direction. The further north you go, the lower an angle the sun is in the sky in the southerly direction. If you're in the southern hemisphere, the sun is at an angle in the sky in a northerly direction, and the further south you go, the lower an angle in the sky is, the lower the angle the sun is in the sky. Now, if we consider this also from the fact that the light is parallel, then this means that the people who are distributed north to south cannot all be parallel to each other. There must be an angle to each other. And this indicates very, very strongly that they're standing on the surface of a sphere like this. Okay. So the sun light is all parallel. We know it must be parallel because these people along this line are all seeing it from the same direction. So if these people distributed north to south along the line that's at midday are not seeing the sun at the same position in the sky, the only explanation is that they're at different angles to each other, like I'm saying, which indicates very strongly that they're on the surface of a spheroid. I mean, say for example, if this person here points at the sun, they're pointing at a certain angle in the sky, this person will be pointing straight overhead, and this person here will be pointing at an angle like that, there. Now, if you look at all their arms, they're all going to be parallel, but they're pointing at different points and places in the sky because they're distributed along the surface of a sphere. So these facts prove geometrically that the Earth is a spheroid, because I'll go through it again. 6 o'clock in the morning, all the people on this line from north to south see the sun in exactly the same direction. They all see it east on the horizon. Therefore, they're all seeing it in the same direction. Therefore, the light from the sun must be parallel because it's a distant object. The people at midday, distributed from north to south, see the sun at different positions in the sky. But since all the light is parallel, they must be at different angles to each other, which can only be explained if they are distributed along the surface of a spheroid. Now, if we consider that in the light of the flat Earth model, it's just comically wrong. It doesn't even begin to work. Now, the corresponding line to the people distributed north to south here would be this line here on the flat Earth model. So if people are all standing along this line here, and the sun's over, like in this direction, because all the people along this line are seeing it in the same direction over here somewhere, then how can the people on this line be seeing it in different directions? And how could it possibly be directly over the equator? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, once again, the flat Earth model is just an utter catastrophe. I mean, like I've said in other videos, you've really got to wonder what is going on in the heads of the people that are promoting this thing, because it's a complete joke. You don't even have to think about it very hard to debunk it, to show that it doesn't even begin to make sense, that it can't even account for the most rudimentary information that we know about the world. Whereas this model of the Earth not only explains, but is predicted by the information that we know about the way that the sun rises on an equinox and the position that the sun appears in the sky at midday on an equinox. I mean, it is proof that the Earth is a spheroid.